So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another learning hour at Mavin. So, I just want to start the session with a quick question. When was the last time you felt truly heard by a leader, a teacher, or even a friend? Think about it. And what was that experience like for you? And how did it make you feel? When you imagine this, you see those moments that stay with us. Why? Because empathy is powerful. And today, I want to explore with you how empathy isn't just a soft skill or a nice to have, it is a leadership strategy. In fact, it is the beating heart of something called the servant leadership. By the end of this session, you should walk away with a clear understanding of servant leadership, the practical tools to lead with empathy, and simple actions you can take immediately to transform how you show up as a leader. Because many are times when we're not being heard, you know, by a leader or by a teacher or by a friend. I think, I don't know who said this, but then anyone can speak anything, anyone can say a lot of things verbally, but then at the end of the day, all that matters is how you made them feel, isn't it? As I said, again, empathy is not just a soft skill, it is a leadership strategy. And today, let's begin with understanding what, servant leadership means or what does it mean. In traditional leadership, the pyramid looks like this: leader at the top giving in directions and controlling, and others follow. In servant leadership, we flip that pyramid. The leader exists to serve the team, to help them grow and perform at their best. Robert Greenleaf, who coined this idea, said, the servant leader is servant first. Many scholars later identified 10 core principles of servant leadership. Or rather, let's discuss the top five, which I feel, you need as a leader. Let you take any type of leadership. There are different styles of leadership. The top five, which I'm gonna take to keeping the time in mind, I'm just gonna take the top five instead of 10 core principles, which is gonna take five core principles. Starting with number one, listening, awareness, empathy, foresight, and healing. But now here's the key: while all of these things matter, empathy is what brings them to life. Without empathy or without active listening, leadership becomes hollow. With empathy, leadership becomes human, isn't it? So now let's unpack empathy. Empathy is often misunderstood. It's not just feeling sorry for someone, but it's much more deeper. But there are actually three types of empathy. One is your cognitive empathy, that is understanding someone else's perspective. Let it be pain or let it be any kind of emotion, but understanding someone else's perspective. Second is your emotional empathy, feeling what they feel. Third is compassionate empathy, where you start taking action to seek help or to help someone. When leaders apply these three layers, empathy becomes a strategy. It guides decisions, it shapes culture and builds trust. Let me repeat that. When leaders apply these three layers, empathy becomes a strategy. It guides decisions, shapes culture, and builds trust. Let me, ask a quick question here. Let me ask a quick question. Um, if when you think of a hotel or the hospitality industry, which is the first organization or which is the first brand which comes to your mind? When you take the group of hotels or the chain of hotels, which brand comes to your mind and why? Would someone like to share? Prem sir or Shabana ma'am, would you like to share something on this?
The name that comes to my mind is Hilton.
Okay. Why, sir? Why Hilton? Is there anything that you would like to share, an experience or a situation?
Yeah, because I find that Hilton is like a cookie cutter system. If
Okay,
you've been to one
great.
Hilton, you'll find more or less the system is a similar one. So
Okay.
the customer feels that they took the customer's needs into consideration. Was always like I felt like I was prioritized.
Okay.
The
Great.
way if I'm not happy about something or not satisfied with something, they'll tend to it immediately. So I felt that it was not just words; they actually put it into action. They got, and even if they can't do it fast, they'll come and tell you, "We are looking into the matter." I just need that kind of assurance.
Thank you, sir. Shabana ma'am, would you like to share something before I go forward?
Uh, yeah, I think Taj also comes to mind because I think they are
Okay.
the one who really value their staff
Okay.
as well. They provide,
Okay.
uh, uh,
Great.
yeah, something like that.
So now, if you go back, you take hotel industry, you take any food industry, or you take any, fashion brands, your Nike, Puma, you take any of the brands. There's one particular reason why that brand comes to your mind first. Let it be you building a startup. First, you need to build the trust. You need to build the credibility, and then it becomes a company or it becomes an organization. When your customers go starts telling to someone else, then it becomes a brand, isn't it? Don't think about it. No, sometimes you find, if somebody wants to buy a shoe, instantly what we tell them, either go pick it up from Puma or go pick it up from Adidas, right? Many a times. But it'll be different for different people and different experiences you might be having. But still, now, today we have a mixed users of Android versus your iPhone. How did they become a brand, or how did Apple become a brand? Or say take Google versus you have a lot of search engines, Google, Microsoft, you name it, you have it. Here I'm going to just take the example of Satya Nadella, now CEO of Microsoft. When he took over, the company was struggling with internal competition and culture of silos. Nadella emphasized empathy not just as a value but as a driver of innovation. He said empathy makes a better innovator. Today, Microsoft is thriving under his leadership. Now, I just want you to imagine keeping the time frame in mind. Maybe if we have the time, we'll come back to this exercise towards the end of the session. But right now, I just want you to, if you can, close your eyes and imagine the situation. Let's try something. Imagine one person will share a small frustration from their work or daily life, or something's very simple, like a delayed project or a missed deadline or even traffic. The other person has one role: listen silently with full attention, no interrupting, no advice, just listen. After a couple of minutes, you switch the roles. Once you've imagined this, if you want, if whoever is watching this later, you can pause this video right here, and you can think about how did that feel for you to be listened to without interruption. And for the listeners, what did you notice? We'll come back to this exercise or for this particular interaction towards the end. Right now I'm just going forward with decoding certain principles and certain techniques which you can use. Now let's connect empathy to the broader servant leadership model. I'm going to break it down in three strategies. That is, first, your listening aspect. When empathy allows us to listen beyond words into feelings, it can be our own feelings or it can be the other person's feeling. Then comes your healing part of it. Teams are made of people carrying invisible wounds, but empathy helps us to acknowledge and support them accordingly. And then it comes to growth. Empathy creates the trust needed for people to grow and stretch or expand. But at the end of the day, when leaders understand the needs of their people or their team, they can manage their resources responsibly. So the three aspects is listening, healing, and growth. And now, keeping these three aspects in mind, now here's a simple framework which you can use, which I call it the three C's of empathetic leadership, where we connect, we communicate, and we care in action. Let me expand this for you. Connect. Being in the present moment. Look at people in the eye. When they're talking, don't keep your phone down. Avoid using gadgets or avoid fidgeting with things. Imagine you're in a hospital, okay? Maybe you are admitted for some reason in a hospital, and you're talking to the hospital staff, the nurse, the attenders in the hospital. You're talking, and they're continuing to doing their work, not giving you the full attention. What will happen later? The patient will not even come and talk to the people when they need it, right? Because for the pure reason that they were not being heard with the full attention when a patient is coming and talking to someone or to the people or to the attenders who's working in that hospital. This brings us to the second C is your communicate. Reflect back to what you hear. It sounds like you are feeling, scared or you're feeling nervous or feeling anxious. Especially if you take up the hospitals, sometimes many of us just scared. We just go for a small thing and we identify with something else. And that brings us to the third C, which is care in action. Translate that listening into supportive steps which you can take action. Imagine a stressed individual is coming and talking to you. And you're not interrupting, you're not giving any advice, you're just actively listening by giving your full attention. There it says half of that stress, what that person was going through, is gone, right? That person is gone. So sometimes our duty as a leader is to maybe not every time solve problems for the other person, but just practice empathy using these three C's just to connect, communicate, and care. And now, if you notice how a simple shift in presence can change the whole conversation. I'll give you a real time, situation where many emotions can be handled and you can get over with it. There is one emotion that you cannot get over with, but you can only handle and navigate. That is nothing but grief. It can be a breakup, it can be a loss of your loved one. Sorry to say this, it can be loss of your loved one, or it can be a loss of your friend or something. But and sometimes you come back hearing that people say that you have to move on, life has to move on. But grief never goes away. But you learn to navigate with it, you learn to deal with it. Will it go away? It's a big question. That's a big question. So, how do we practice empathy consistently as leaders? The sessions which I bring in is more of I curate the session from my own experiences and things which I have tried and it has worked for me. So let me give you a few practical tools which you can, start maybe trying to put in things into a new light. Starting your meetings or starting your conversation with a check-in, just asking a simple question as to how's everyone feeling today or how are you feeling today? Not just what's the status, but asking how are they feeling actually, and asking something on a weekly basis. What kind of support do you need from me for this? Today, there's a lot of physical safety, but we need to start building that psychological safety. Thank people for asking questions or raising concerns. Reflecting your activities daily, journal, with a prompt or a question as simple as whose voice did I truly listen to today? Or who listened to me with full attention? Being present physically there. Sometimes leadership means walking around, checking in informally. But yes, as I said earlier, or rather, I think in the before session, that leadership is not just about titles. Leadership is taking in charge of your team, your actions, your behavior, or if it's a team, taking care of your team. But when empathy becomes part of the system, not just the individual movements, it turns into a strategy. It reduces turnover, builds engagement, and fosters innovation. Empathy driven leaders don't just create better teams, they create resilient organizations. And yes, we show empathy in different ways. I show it in a different way. Premsa would be showing it in a different way. Different people will show it in different ways. But as I started session in the beginning, stating that empathy is a leadership strategy. Before we close, let's take a moment. Think of one person in your circle or maybe in your team or in your family or your community who needs empathy right now? Can you bring that person's face in your mind? If yes, whoever is watching this video later, please pause this at this moment and now ask yourself that what was that one empathetic action can I take for this person for this week? Either you can write it down later or you can think about it and start taking action right now. And that is your takeaway for now. But I have to leave you with something, with this quote often attributed to Theodore Roosevelt. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Let me repeat that statement. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's the essence of servant leadership. And empathy is not weakness, it's wisdom, not kindness, it's strategy. I hope you leave not just inspired but equipped to practice empathy as the heartbeat of your leadership. Now, going back to the activity which we were discussing it earlier, you know, if I can get two volunteers to do this, it will be great. And then with this, we can call this a session a close. Who would like to volunteer? Two volunteers, please.
I would like to volunteer.
Great. With Prem sir, who's going to volunteer with this activity? Shabana ma'am, would you like to?
I think we can have Rajvin or Himshika, maybe. Yeah,
Okay. Rajvin, would you like to volunteer or do you want me to take it up?
or Himshika said.
Actually, I joined late. So is it fine? I'm not sure.
No problem. No, I'm going to repeat the activity. So,
Yeah,
shall
yeah,
we
sure.
have Imshika also on spotlight, please? Okay, thank you. So, what you're going to do is, it can be a very simple, situation, say, about your work day or your work life or your frustrated work experience or something about with your life which has happened today or in the past. Okay, say for example right now Himshika is gonna start conversing and Prem sir is gonna just sit and listen with full attention and it has gone both the ways. Can we do that? Say a quick 5 minutes chit chat and then I'll tell you what will happen.
Yeah, sure.
Anything, or you can just create a hypothetical scenario also. Not necessarily.
Yeah, yeah. So it's regarding work only. I think during my last company when I was working, it was too hectic, the project. Like they were pushing, and I remember we used to go early morning, like 8 o'clock, and like come back by 8, and again going 5 days we were going, and managers were pushing to, complete fast. So that was really, I felt like tired some, like every day coming, going early, coming late, it was uh, but good thing happened because of that only. I prepared and I started giving interviews. And because of that only it pushed me that no, I should, you know, check for, where I can have work life balance, and I started giving interviews, and I used to keep going on weekends whenever, and it actually helped me. So that's how, converting that negative or that stressful situation has actually came maybe to push you to make it go ahead in life. I felt somewhere.
Okay. Thank you. Prem sir, would you like to share something?
Yeah.
Anything.
Yesterday I went for a meeting was to prepare for the new fiscal year. Because the work which I do has a fiscal year which is different. It starts in September 2025 until August 2026. And a lot of work went towards renovating the area, the meeting room, and all that. And so today we were supposed to meet up, just a few of us. But I felt the few of us that are going to meet up there, we didn't need such a big space. A home meeting would have been just sufficient, just a few of us. There would have been more camaraderie there. In fact, we can sit down there, have a cup of tea, and do some brainstorming. It didn't come out that way, and I really couldn't take two meetings, one after the other, yesterday and today. I was still stressed out from yesterday's pressure, so I just didn't want to go and attend this get together today at the formal place. I know the meeting is held for my goal planning and all that. Yes, I appreciate that. I'm a human being. And at my age, I take things in a different pace. I cannot go gung-ho all the way yesterday, today. I just want to go I want to be better than my former self, yes. But I don't want to be pressured into creating myself a false idea that, yes, I please my senior associates that I can do this, I can do that. And feeling utterly despondent inside. I didn't want that. I wish things would be better. I wish I could communicate with them on a level where they would understand that, yes, we all want progress, we all want to chart our goals, but it should be really realistic. We need to go with empathetic flow here. So I'm thinking, what do I do about it?
Thank you, sir. Okay. Imshika, how did you feel when a person was listening to you completely without interruptions and other distractions? How was for you?
Yeah, so that means he's actively listening to what the other
Did
person is
did
saying.
you feel?
Yeah, it felt good, like, yeah, definitely.
Very good. Okay. And Prem, sir?
I felt she was very concerned about what I was trying to say,
Yeah, correct.
even though I may have been very blurry. But she had this, like, let it out of your system, man. I'm here to listen.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for that. So, this is how empathy or giving your full attention when a person is talking, this is how it can leave an impact. Maybe we cannot take the other person's pain, but just giving that complete listening ear with that empathy makes the all the difference. Thank you. Over to you, Shabana ma'am.
Thank you, Darshani. You really covered
you.
it well. Let's ask Rajvin if she wants to add something.
Sure. Rajvin, over to you.
You have to unmute.
I really appreciate every session of Mavin. They really, including myself. I didn't know that I could do face yoga so well, but thank you, Dharshani. Your sessions were very, very good, very, very good, and
Thank you so much.
so on point. And I wish that people could not pressure. We don't have societal pressure. Like we must do this on this time. we can just like, can we just have a break? Can we just go with the flow? Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
what do you think about this idea, going with the flow?
I think life itself is like that. You have to go with the flow. See, many a times we plan a lot of things, but unfortunately or fortunately, it doesn't go as planned many a times. But I always say that is a redirection, and many a times universe is trying to safeguard you from a lot of other troubles. Yes. Sometimes going with the flow works.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dharshani. Thank you, everyone, and see you again tomorrow.